He built a particle, I believe it was a particle accelerator in his garage when he was like 14.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, he did, dude.
That sounds like a trusted source. 14. What were you doing at 14? Welcome back. Here we are. It's been a while. I took some time off, had a baby. All is well so far. Hopefully we keep that streak alive. In this episode, I chat with my brother, and this is the Rebrand from the Innertained Podcast. We have tossed that out the window, and it is now the Anthony Thomas Podcast, ATP. In this episode, my brother Ryan and I, we cover everything from parenting failures, pilot life, then some of his travel hacks, depressive states from injury. We talk about outer space, aliens, and there is a bit of a riddle or a very, very challenging topic in here if you're into that sort of thing in astrophysics, where I take a shot at solving an unsolved mystery of the universe, particularly as it pertains to Earth and our views from here. All of that and more. Welcome aboard, and thanks for tuning in. Here we are with Ryan Thomas.
I'm on iPad, so because I'm in a hotel.
Oh, solid.
Yeah, and I don't bring my laptop because I bring an Xbox. So.
Brilliant, man.
Bro, I've been getting that on Battlefield all morning.
The proper pilot's life.
Hey, man. You know, I mean, some people, they get into hood rat shit. They run around with the rest of flight crew and all that. And
yeah,
that's not me, man. That's not me at all.
I dig that.
I'm what they call a slam clicker.
A slam clicker?
Yeah, you slam the door and you hear the click of the lock.
That's all she wrote. That's it.
Yeah. It's different in the airlines than it is in the Air Force. In the Air Force, I go out and stuff, but in the airlines.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good, man.
I feel that. Well, yeah. I feel like your typical crew in the airline versus your crew in the Air Force, vastly different interests.
Yeah.
So that makes.
I mean, it's weird because most of my Air Force buddies are airline guys too, you know. But
yeah,
we're still just a small sample.
Yeah.
Most of the airline world is pretty homogenous in terms of the type of people that you fly with, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the word I wanted to use, right? Homogenous. Yeah.
Yes, that was a good word to use. Bro, so the reason it took me a little bit here to get on to get on here is because I was this brand sent me this box, right? Like they sent me this box of stuff. It's a black owned brand, and they hit me up a while ago and they were like, "Hey, we're reaching out to black golfers for like an appreciation month thing. We want to send you out this box of goodies." It's basically like, you know, like beard care and things like this, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, cool.
Talk to me after you give it to Tiger. Then we can talk.
So I was like, cool, yeah, you sent it my way. So they sent it, and I've had it sitting here for a while. I haven't done anything with it, partially because I'm off social media right now. So it was like, I'm not in a rush to do it anyway. So
I've been sending you mad, ridiculously funny shit on Instagram.
Really?
So, yes.
All right, I'm actually gonna have to block out like a full weekend when I decide to jump back on, because I know there's people like you. And Ant, I know, I've been sending me some ridiculous shit. So anyway, I'm sitting here. I'm like, let me just do this quick little video review, unboxing, and here's my take on these products. I straight up Dumb and Dumbered the shit out of my eyeball with beard spray. Let me see if I can get to the moment. I haven't even played this back for myself yet. I'm gonna play it back right now. Look at this shit. And I had the Osmo following me. Let me see if I can. Here, let me move the mic so you can still hear the audio too. All day silky softness. This is what I need right here.
You're going to get an email that's like, Mr. Thomas, upon further review, we would no longer like to request your help marketing our product.
Hey, listen, take that box we sent you, throw it in the trash. Throw it in the trash.
Yeah. Do us a favor. If you see another black dude out there golfing, just give it to him. We don't even care if he's on social media. Just we don't want you to be seen with it.
Spot on.
Yeah.
So, all right, bro, check this out.
What's up?
This is a special episode for a couple reasons. One, I have been thinking about this for a while because I haven't recorded an episode of this podcast in months.
Cool.
And so I've been thinking about this, and I'm like, you know what? I really don't like the name Innertained. I like the concept, but that doesn't roll off the tongue. And I was like, this is, something I've been thinking about for a while. So this is the episode where it's a rebranding episode. It is the Anthony Thomas. Shit. Yeah, boy, the Anthony Thomas podcast. It's my hype button.
Yeah, I had a horn app on my phone that did that.
Yes.
And like, I shit you not, if I hit that, it didn't matter where in the house the kids were, you would just hear footprints like they'd be coming because they just like to spam the button, dude. They stopped updating the app, so I don't have it anymore.
I might have to send these kids, like, don't let them get a textile one that you actually get that press. Oh man, it feels so good.
Tactile was the word you were looking for.
Tactile. What I said, textile.
Yeah. Textile. Get one made out of clothing materials.
They're like, this isn't so fun to press. It's just,
God, this button is so soft.
It's supple. Yeah. And that's how their career in fashion design started.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, bro. So this is
what made you want to get into fashion? Well, my uncle sent me a fabric hype button when I was 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
The rest is history. Oh. So yeah, bro, this is a rebranding episode, the Anthony Thomas podcast, ATP. That's like energy in your cells. That's like
nice.
Yeah. So
is that energy in your cells?
Yeah, ATP.
Dude, I'm like, when it comes to like cellular biology, I'm terrible.
Really? So yeah. I don't want to act as if I am the biologist here, because when I say energy in the cells, that's like very loosely putting it, because I don't think ATP is actually energy. I think it's I think it's the transfer of energy, maybe like the highway energy moves on. I don't know. It's something involving energy of the cells. It's just, you know what? I got a hype button, so. But yeah, so this is the rebranding episode.
The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. The powerhouse of the cell.
That's right.
Yeah,
you nailed it. So that's pretty decent. But luckily for you and for everybody who would question you, your specialty, your expertise is not anywhere near biology. It's more so physics and flying, and I mean, you are a pilot.
Brave of you to assume that I'm an expert in anything.
You have passed qualifications somehow.
Yes. Somebody made a mistake somewhere. Probably the same guy that let you into Berkeley.
Shout out to mom. Before we start, we're about to start diving in here. I got to give at least the proper intro to the people that don't know you, that are gonna be listening. So, joining me today is Ryan Thomas. He happens to be a pilot in the United States Air Force
Reserves,
United States Air Force Reserves. And a pilot in the commercial airline world as well. You hold a bachelor's in psychology from Washington State University.
Yes.
And you are like 2 classes from another bachelor's in physics?
Yes. This 3.
3 classes.
Like 1 semester, yeah.
Yeah, 1 semester away. Okay, so you
It's worth noting that I've been 1 semester away for 3 years now.
Yeah, not an active pursuit. Not an active pursuit.
I mean,
you're in your mid 30s, and you opted just a few years ago to go back for this for, I mean, seemingly no reason at all. But we'll get to that before let's finish your epic intro. You are also the middle brother. I'm the youngest.
Yes.
You are the middle. You're 5 years older than I am. So growing up, we had a lot of wonderful times and a lot of fantastic fights. You and I specifically, pretty much daily, if not daily, many times a week for years. We fought. And then
that reminds me of just something on something I saw on IG today. It said having siblings is so weird. You spend the first 15 years of your lives fighting, and one day you wake up and you're like, this motherfucker's all right. And that's like the story of our lives. You were me and Billy didn't beef nearly as much as you and I did.
Big fact.
And so I read that, and that's the first thing I thought of.
Big fact. Yes. Billy being the oldest brother, who I hope to have on here one day. We'll see how that goes. But today we've got the middle brother, Ryan Thomas. What am I missing from your intro that you'd like to add? Actually, no. Let me read this. Or
my title.
I texted you asking what title would you like me to share on the podcast?
Yeah.
And this is your response for your official title, Ryan Thomas, the pilot. Ryan Thomas, high-speed pressurized aluminum tubing operator.
That's correct.
And human.
And human, yes.
Okay.
Self-proclaimed human.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we are. So that shot to mom about somebody made a mistake, let you in. Somebody made a mistake.
No. I'm super lucky, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just a super lucky guy.
I think you are pretty lucky, but you don't become a pilot. What's the percentage roughly, or if you know specifically, what's the percentage of people that pursue being a pilot in the military, or just specifically the Air Force, as opposed to the people that actually get it? Because this, to me,
I don't know,
seemingly is like a special forces kind of fallout scenario where it's like a lot of people want to go do this, but I mean, there's far more that don't make it than actually get there.
Percentage-wise, I don't know. The Air Force, we do our pilot training kind of weird. We weed people out before we send them to pilot training. So there's a lot of people that apply and don't get selected for, any number of reasons. There's, medical or background, even moral and ethical stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah.
What's an example?
Too much drug use would be moral, or a DUI is a moral, even though it's a legal thing, but it's still a moral thing like that they'll just, because even if you handled the DUI appropriately and did all the legal steps, there's no legal ramifications really, but for us that's a deal breaker. It shows essentially poor decision making. There's ways around that, but your DUI would have been years ago, but stuff like that, and medical is the biggest one. We have stricter medical standards than the commercial world, and for obvious reason. We're doing stuff in different locations and different.
It seems like you're those strict standards. You had a good experience with the strict medical standards recently, I think, from a knee scooter of some sort.
Oh yeah. Well, once you're in, they'll pay good money to keep you in. Once you're a pilot, it's cheaper to fix a pilot than it is to make a new one. You know what I mean? So yeah. So I tore my Achilles tendon saving America. Yes, actually. Yes, I was on military duty and I tore my Achilles tendon.
Yeah, while you were on military duty. These are specific details that you need to pay very close attention to.
I was running from one base to another base.
Like an Air Force base.
I was on an Air Force base, yes.
You were on an Air Force base running from one base to another base.
That's correct.
Okay, should we dive in further? Or is that enough details to share?
Would you like to dive in further?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, for clarity purposes, you are on military orders, you are on base, and there's a lot of witnesses to this experience when you tore your Achilles.
Yes.
As you were running from one base to another base. It was just an American like an American pastime type of base, like a base.
Well, it was a competition. It was a conflict of sorts.
You tore your Achilles playing softball.
That is correct. It was a conflict between two teams. And I was running from first base to second base.
Oh man. So anyway, from your recovery, because you couldn't fly for a while, and that was pretty tough, eh? Like mentally, emotionally. What'd you go through?
Yeah. It was there was days where it's a very sudden like handicapping, essentially. It's not like, I mean, I don't want to take anything away from people that have permanent disabilities, you know what I mean? But sure. You go overnight to you can't walk by yourself. You got crutches. Hopefully, like I ended up getting a little knee scooter eventually.
Yeah.
So it's just this stuff, making breakfast is tough, and it's just it was just days where I didn't want to do anything. Yeah. I didn't even turn the Xbox on, didn't read a book, didn't turn the TV on, and just sat on the couch.
And this is also you having 2 children under the age of 7.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, there was probably, I had some. It was just hard times, man. Just sitting there and but my wife's a saint. She had to be a saint to marry me.
Yes.
So she was, but she's, I mean, exactly what you want in a partner. I mean, she was my rock when I needed it. So,
yeah.
And she didn't complain once the whole time. So
not a single time.
If I ever have enough money, I'll take her on a really nice trip somewhere.
Which actually, that probably was part of the depressive state for this injury, right? Because you're on a pursuit to climb the ladder in the commercial airline world, which is climbing your financial ladder and everything like that. So this, and you need more hours and everything like that to do it. So this is a big setback for what you were projecting for, timing wise and all that stuff.
So it's November 30th right now, and I'm
you're not supposed to do that because this is going to be released later. So
I'm just talking about what time it is while we're recording this. So as we're recording,
that's what I mean. Yeah, no, you don't want the people to know because they think it's instant. Like we recorded it that day. It's live, like a radio.
Well, that's silly.
It's like I'm just playing.
No, but yeah. So I'll be done with my airline training sometime in the next couple of weeks. Right, coming back to work. This was all supposed to happen in June. I was supposed to come back to work. And from June to November, that's, 5 months. That's potentially like 400 hours.
Damn.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, que será, será. So.
But you're back to flying.
Yeah.
You made it through. What's one thing if you could attribute your making it through, let's say this, like a depressive chapter, what is one thing that you would say most people could do or that you found useful, even if it isn't, relative to most people, it's something that you were like, yeah, this actually, whether it was a mindset thing, actual activity, or what is something that you found helpful on the days that you found really rough that kind of helped you through?
We bought a house in July. Mm-hmm. So that was 2.5 months after the surgery or something like that. Mm-hmm. 2.5 months. And that kept me busy, like actually having something to do. You know what I mean? My physical therapy was awesome. That was something to look forward to. Nice. But it was also tough and discouraging. Because I couldn't do a one-legged tippy toe. You know what I mean? A one-legged heel raise. I couldn't do that, and that's just frustrating. There was a long time there where I couldn't even do it 50-50. Like I couldn't put 50% of my weight, So that's and physical therapy is just a reminder of that because that's the stuff they're trying to work on, and so you're doing that in physical therapy. So there were days where I just didn't want to go, but when we got our house and I had something to actually do every day, a target to work for, getting the house set up and stuff like that, that helped a ton.
Right. So are you
like almost a purpose?
Yeah.
I guess.
So you're recommending people if they find themselves in a similar situation, just buy a house.
Buy a house. Yep. Hands down.
Just buy a house. That's all you got to do to get through.
Yeah, that's all you got to do.
No, that's solid. Have a purpose. Have like some.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's either a purpose or even would you substitute project? Like.
Yeah.
Like
something
a long-term project
on,
that you can't finish in a day. You can't finish in a week. It's something that it's just like you chip away at.
Yeah. So like before we had bought the house, the days where I bought stuff for the dirt bike or stuff like that, where I was out there actually working on something helped a lot. But the days where I was just sitting around just thinking about the things you can't do, those are the tough days.
Yeah, got you. Like
I said, a lot of people have it a lot worse. I at least had light at the end of the tunnel, knowing that at some point I'd be good again. It's not like I lost my leg or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, that has a whole different set of challenges that you've got to work through and everything like that, which is also very, very doable. And I know this. I know this for many facts. And this is another shameless plug for High Fives Foundation, which that's where I got this lovely mug. You can see my high fives. My high fives, Ohana. I've talked about them before. You're obviously familiar, but for the listeners, High Fives Foundation, they help folks who have experienced life-changing injuries. So just like what you're talking about, where it's like you don't necessarily have the light at the end of the tunnel, like, oh, I will regain use of my leg or whatever. And they have amazing resources. So if this is something that you're going through right now, or somebody going through this, definitely recommend checking out High Fives Foundation and reaching out to them for resources and mindset. What the hell are you laughing at?
You remember the charity tournament we went to and the dude lost his leg and on his other leg he tattooed 1 foot in the grave?
Yes.
That was all I could think about.
That was in Colorado. That was the Limb Preservation Foundation. Yeah. Yes. And that that just, for some reason, that just came to mind. That's the mindset that's the mindset that helps though, man. Like some of the greatest, he's like, what's he going to do? Mope all, for the rest of his life about losing that leg, or like, let's turn this into something fun. Let's turn it into like, you own it. You see it, you own it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
That was hilarious.
That was hilarious for sure. All right.
So
let's move to something I know very, very, very little about. And you wanted to talk about tarot card reading.
Dude.
I'm just kidding. Astronomy, astrophysics.
Yeah.
Which, again, you already clarified, you're not an expert in anything.
No, not by any stretch of the imagination.
Where do you even... I don't know this. And you and I are pretty damn close. People ask all the time, like, oh, do you have siblings? Yeah, what's the next question? Are you guys close? Which is an interesting question to ask subjectively. Right, looking at just the family we grew up in and everything, like subjectively, it's like, of course we're close. Like, why would you even ask that?
Yeah.
But then you look objectively at the world and you're like, holy shit, it makes sense why people ask that question, right?
Yeah.
I have no idea where your fascination with astronomy and astrophysics originates. Can you shed some light on that for me specifically?
It was Dad. Remember that old telescope he used to have?
Yes, the old with the wooden legs and the yes.
It was just the long, skinny one, right? Yeah, it was that as a kid, looking at that. Looking at stars and stuff.
Bro,
and
I still remember. You remember when we got to see Halley's Comet?
I think it was in 94, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Is that Halley's Comet or Hale-Bopp?
I don't know.
I think Halley's Comet comes around every 75 years. I don't know.
This is where we need that, the assistant right offside that's just looking stuff up for us while we continue
like
talking.
Googling and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might have been Hale-Bopp.
I think it was Hale-Bopp.
Yeah. I do remember that though.
Yeah.
That was dope.
Okay. So, so I recall this. I recall telescope and those experiences and things like that. Yeah. So,
that stuff, when I was young, got me into it. And then, remember when we had the pool in the backyard? I used to lay out on that deck and just look at the stars.
Yeah.
And, for as much time as I've spent looking at the stars, I know a shamefully small amount of constellations.
Shame.
Yeah. There's 88 constellations out there, and I know maybe 10.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your tour of the astro world. We're going to start today's tour with the dippers, the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper. Who can point these out for me?
Yeah. If you look right there, there's the Big Dipper. Over there is Orion, and that concludes our tour.
But there's 86 more.
88. 86 more.
Yeah,
80, right?
yeah.
My bad.
Quick math. Quick maths.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is still
that.
I mean, you spent a lot of time looking at stars. You spent time up, on the pool deck. Man, that pool, we used to have so much fun in that thing. That was epic.
It was dope.
We had a pool.
Super dope.
I mean, we grew up in the Northwest where pools weren't the most common thing. And this was, you're, what was it, like 4 foot above the ground pool? Like,
yeah, probably.
Man.
3.5, 4 feet.
Yeah. And then we helped build that deck up to that. Pops was always building decks and greenhouses and always doing woodwork, our yard work.
That was Dad's thing. Like, hey, look at this new thing we got. Let's build a deck.
Let's build shit around it. Like, hold on now. They got a perfectly good ladder that comes with this thing that we can climb in and out of. But we used to send it off that deck too. You remember?
Mm-hmm. Flips. Yep.
Yeah, flip it off the deck, and they'd be so pissed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good times.
So you're looking at stars. I mean, this is one of those fascinating arenas where, people, it's like, oh, 2 kids grow up with an alcoholic dad. One of them grows up and becomes an alcoholic. The other one grows up and becomes incredibly successful, hating alcoholism, all that shit, right?
Yeah.
This is kind of that scenario. We both grew up. There were times where Pops would be out like, look at the stars and all that stuff. I definitely enjoy the sky. I enjoy the stars and all this stuff, but I am nowhere near as fascinated as you are. Where does this come from? Where? You spent a lot of time. What were you thinking? What was going on in your head?
It's just the vastness of it. There's no way for us to like conceptualize how vast the space is. The human brain just can't do it. We can't wrap our heads around space.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just that in general. And then just the possibilities of what's out there. You know what I mean? Like we are one planet of 8 here in our, mediocre solar system.
9
for a mediocre
planets
star.
from our childhood.
Yeah, I have a shirt that says when I was your age, Pluto was a planet.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the possibilities of what could be out there,
right?
You know what I mean? And just, I don't know.
What do you think is out there?
Oh, I absolutely believe there's intelligent life out there. I hope there is. I hope there's life that's far more intelligent than humans are.
I don't know, dude. Check this out. Check this out. See this?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I
know, dude. Yeah. I know. Like, what's more intelligent than that?
I don't know, man.
If you're just listening and not watching this, I just pulled my index finger off of itself. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. I detached. The tip. Okay. So
yeah,
you think
I 100%. I 100%. There
are
is
you wearing a Star Wars shirt?
There. Absolutely.
Nerd life.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Okay.
But there's
you think there's intelligent life.
A British professor, Brian. I think his name's Brian Greene. He's a British astrophysicist and a professor, and I think it was him. He has this. It's not a theory, it's a hypothesis that intelligent life evolves like humans do, where our ability to destroy life evolves faster than our ability to sustain or coexist on our planet. So there is a possibility that any life out there, much like human life, develops nukes, and then they all use the nukes and kill off human life before they figure out how to work together as a planet and become an interstellar species.
Right. So the idea is...
That's a possibility. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. I mean, our ability technologically to blow shit up advances insanely faster than our ability to de-escalate issues.
So much so that, I mean, we're getting, like, New Zealand is currently proposing an international law or a treaty that we will not use any artificial intelligence to kill during war.
I love New Zealand.
They want all killing during war to have a human input to it. They don't want, and I mean, that's, it
sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, it sounds really stupid, but it's a reality.
I think it's great enough a thing to consider, to highly consider. Yeah. And I can see where the logic behind that is like.
Yeah. If we're using something like that, then another country is, and all of a sudden we're to that TBS show, Robot Wars, right?
Oh, BattleBots.
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 Right.
Oh, I used to
BattleBots.
love that shit.
It's still going on, man.
I know.
You know, some of those things weigh like 250 pounds.
What?
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
250 pounds?
Yeah. I think that's
but they're like the size of a laptop, dude.
But dude, you
throw sledgehammer, buzzsaws, and flamethrower.
Exactly.
Yeah, that shit was awesome. Okay, so you're into stars, you're into potential extraterrestrial lives.
Yeah.
Okay, this is hard. This is hard to conceptualize, right? You've already established this.
Yeah.
In space.
Yeah.
I mean, in our little solar system of 8 planets, we're the only one known to be hosting proper, I guess, conscious life. Because there's been, other organisms found on Mars. So, right? Or just water?
Yeah.
Just water, no organisms.
Water. But everywhere on Earth that we've seen water, we found microbial life.
Right.
And that's the thing, yeah.
So that's just in our solar system. How many solar systems do you know of existing? Ballpark it.
Ours. I mean, there's trillions out there.
Trillions?
I would be willing to bet, yeah.
Like the level of United States debt? Trillions?
I don't know if anything's that high.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I mean, you look out there and, we see the Milky Way is, when you look up at the night sky, you see that real dense strip of the sky where it's like, it looks kind of foggy.
Yeah.
That's the Milky Way, right? And those are stars up there. Like, how many planets do those stars have? Some stars might not have any. Some might have 9. Some might have 14 or something like that, And then you look out and there's galaxies. You can see Andromeda Galaxy with your naked eye.
1.5 million light years away from us.
Is that what it is?
Andromeda. It's our closest neighboring galaxy. 1.5 million light years.
Yeah. If you're traveling at the speed of light, it's going to take you 1.5 million years to get there.
That is insane. I'm just going to look up just to make sure my numbers are correct. Andromeda Galaxy distance from Earth.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I shorted it. 2.5 million light years.
Oh. Yeah.
2.5. That's our closest neighboring galaxy. That's insane.
Yeah. And then you just if you ever get a chance, look at the Hubble Deep Field
telescope,
like the picture.
Oh.
There's one picture where, I don't know however many years ago, but one of the scientists, they ended up with extra time on Hubble.
Yeah.
They were like, well, we don't have anything planned for it right now. And this guy's like pointed at this one black spot in the sky.
Like nothing's there. Just go straight for that black spot.
Yeah. Yeah. And so they pointed at it and they leave it there for some amount of time. And it turns out it's just littered with galaxies. They get this picture and it's just galaxy after galaxy after galaxy after galaxy. When you're editing this, put a picture up of it. And but you see all those galaxies. Each one of those is like the Milky Way. You know what I mean? So you're looking at
stars on stars on stars on
exactly. Yeah,
potential solar systems for that star, and
exactly. So it's just the likelihood that we are the only advanced or intelligent life is, to me, preposterous.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I kind of fall in with the theory I've heard from a few different, I guess, thought leaders or intelligent folks out there, where it's like, well, the odds of us being the only intelligent species, super, super low odds that we're the only ones. But it's kind of like, well, did they already die off or are they to come, whatever, like where in the timeline of evolution, evolving life and everything like that. But then also, I think it was Stephen Hawking, the late Professor Stephen Hawking, that was like, if there is life out there, an intelligent life, we might not want to find it because they are likely far more intelligent than us and they would enslave us.
Yeah.
The same way we do with animals, right? It's like, like as bad as it sounds, it's not like I'm enslaving my dog. I love my dog and everything, but it's a being.
It's not a wolf.
It's not a wolf. A wolf does not perform in the circus. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I think there is life out there. And the more you spend to actually sit with that thought alone, the more fascinating it does become.
Well, but that, when you get into the philosophy of that, and there's I won't say causation, but there's correlations between intelligence and empathy, right? And gaining more intelligence generally results in more empathy, right? So if they were supremely more intelligent than us, they might not enslave us,
right?
And they might not come here and kill us. Here's the thing: all of these alien movies, they always have aliens coming to Earth to destroy us and kill us, because as humans, Western civilization, that's what we've done anytime we've gone somewhere new.
Colonizers.
Exactly. Dead serious.
Yeah.
I know. When the Pilgrims came over, they up until the mid 1800s, they were just slaughtering Native Americans.
Yes.
Same thing happened with the Spanish and the Mayans.
Some would say that there is still a slaughter of Native Americans going on by way of different political, legal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why everybody's brain goes to, oh man, if there's aliens, like I have a hard time believing that, who do we send to space? We send the scientists and the intelligent, we're not sending warriors out there to go and kill everything we find. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Unless we find oil there.
Big fact. That's terrible.
But no, you just think about that. To me, a spacefaring civilization would be beyond the necessity to enslave us. What the hell are we going to? They have spaceships that can travel interstellar space. They can travel millions of light years in the span of one of their lives. What are we going to do for them?
Astrophage.
Yeah, right? Oh, man, that's such a good book.
Yes. What was the book?
Project Hail Mary by
Andy Weir. Dude, this was a fantastic book. If you like hard science fiction, this is an amazing book. And it's, like in interstellar travel and things about, what would it really be like? A very high possibility of what it's like to actually interact with another being from, intelligent life and everything. Yeah, that is a wonderful Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir.
Yeah.
So there you are with your fascination, your love. Who are who do you look up to? Not necessarily idolize, but who are you like, wow, I really, really admire some aspects of these people in this field?
Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson, hands down, because he is first and foremost an educator. Like he's a scientist and all of that, but his goal is to enlighten people, to share knowledge.
He's black folks and Bill Nye.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And then, I admire Bill Nye too for his pursuit and all that. Dr. Brian Greene, like I said, he's an astrophysicist out of England.
Who's the Japanese fella that looks like he's just
Michio Kaku?
Yes,
Dr. Michio Kaku.
Yes,
he has some really good books. Physics of the Future was really good, but he built a particle, I believe it was a particle accelerator in his garage when he was like 14.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, he did, dude.
That sounds like a trusted source. 14. What were you doing at 14? I want a real answer here. What were you doing? Think back to when you were 14 years old.
So for me, that was freshman year of high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying really...
That's not right, because you left high school at 17.
Yes.
So 17,
so I turned
16, 15. Yeah, that is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So freshman year,
my own life, man. God, I was just trying to fit in, man. Trying to fit. So he was working hard to advance his intellect.
Yes.
I was working hard to not have to do work.
That I can absolutely confirm.
Yeah, that's what I spent most of my time trying to figure out how to get out of assignments.
Yes. This is true. Well, that's no particle accelerator,
that I still have today. Yeah.
So okay, so you love stars and everything like that. Astrophysics is where NDT comes in. You love this. Give us one of your favorite things, thoughts, experiences around astrophysics that you're like, man, this just fascinates me.
Yeah, we talked about this once. It was on my porch in the townhouse.
Oh, I know exactly, and I've got the answer.
No, so operating on the understanding that the universe is infinite, right? That's an assumption here.
Yeah,
that the universe is infinite.
Yes.
If the universe is infinite, there are infinite stars out there. So there should be an infinite amount of light hitting the Earth. So under those precepts, one of the most confusing things out there is, why is it dark at night? That one still, it baffles me. And then there's another one that...
Hold on, give us a second here, would you?
Yeah.
Give us a second here.
Yeah.
If there's an infinite amount of stars and they're emitting an infinite amount of light, and they're infinitely directional to Earth. Omnidirectional. That's a good.
But it would come toward.
But it would come toward Earth from everywhere, from every single angle. There would be light coming towards Earth. Why is it dark at night?
Yeah, and you have to operate on that assumption that the universe is infinite.
Yes. That is the assumption, right? It's either infinite or it is constantly expanding. Are those necessarily the same thing?
No, those are different.
Right. So,
we know the universe is expanding.
Right.
We know that.
Right.
We don't know that it is infinite.
Right. So I just want to preface this by saying I failed chemistry twice. I failed chemistry twice. So,
my man, yeah.
So I recall when we were, when we were being taught. I don't want to say when we were learning because we weren't necessarily learning. We were being taught. Yeah. That is a fact.
Yes. Yeah.
About light photons, light particles, and I'm going to ask you: does light die off eventually? Not in the sense of energy, because I know energy is not created, it's just transferred. But does light die off eventually?
What do you mean die off?
Like, you've got stars out there and they're emitting light. And at some point, at least to our visible eye, it's like our range on the spectrum of visible light. It's like, well, we're so far away that not enough particles have the energy to make it this far to where we would be able to see it. So it eventually would die off, right?
I don't know that it's that they don't have the energy. It's just that the amount of light. Think of the surface. If you take a marble, right, and there's a certain amount of light coming off of that. So that you take one little circle on that.
Yeah.
Now, as you expand that becomes less dense with photons.
There's more space between each photon as it expands out.
More space for the light to get there. Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So, in this infinite dilemma, and I'm no astrophysicist here, but I've got an idea. But I've got an idea. I did
stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Yes. So maybe we're so far from shit. I mean, our closest neighboring galaxy, 2.5 million light years away, Andromeda Galaxy. Maybe in the infiniteness of light and everything like that, because light isn't building up in the energy as it's getting closer to us because it's further from its source. It's producing the energy. Is it possible that that's why it gets dark? Because yes, the light is hitting still. It's still reaching, but it's just so much less intense and so less dense that the strength of light reflecting off of the moon or our star, our big star, the sun, that's so strongly contrasting, and our visible light range on the spectrum of light is so narrow that's why we experience night.
No.
Damn. And
Mainly because
but for a second, I sounded like I was on to something.
No, you have very valid points, but we're talking about the forest, and you're getting caught up in the trees, right?
Yeah. I thought you said the Force, like Star Wars.
No. Yes.
Like yes.
No. The thing here is you're talking about a single point of light.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking infinite stars. If you're out in say you have a infinite flat plane of forest.
Yes.
Right? And these trees are all spread out, right?
And the further from us, they spread out more. Right? Because that would be the example.
Yeah.
But we still wouldn't be able to see through that shit.
You still wouldn't be able to see through if you have infinite trees.
Yes. Because eventually they're going to, unless they're spaced out perfectly, like those farmlands that you drive by and you look down the rows of trees and you're like, oh, that's so cool. Look at the orchards.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
okay.
The other
what's
one
your
that
other
really,
one?
Dude, this one, I would say probably at least every 2 to 3 years, I go through an existential crisis.
Let me time you out real quick. If anybody listening to this has a theory as to why this is, why does it get dark? Why do we have night? Why does it get dark at night here? If you have a theory, please message me either on Instagram at AnthonyThomas33 or just my website, AnthonyJThomas.com. If you have a theory, even if it's absolutely ridiculous, please share. Okay.
Here's there's other precepts that go with that too. Like the universe wouldn't be infinitely old because light takes amount of time to travel here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we see light from, I think it's like 14.5 billion light years away. So that light is 14.5 billion years old, right?
Right.
If the universe, say, that's in this direction, 14.5 billion that year. Now, if the universe is 30 billion years old, right? Then then if it's 30 billion years old, we don't have all of that light yet, right?
Right.
Not 30. If there's something 30 billion light years away, so that's 14.5 this way. If we go, another 14.5
in the same direction.
Same direction,
right.
But the universe, that light wasn't created 14.5 billion years ago,
right?
But it's 30 billion years away. We're still 14, or there's 15.5 billion.
Would it
from getting that light?
Would it ever reach us? I feel like this is an algebra problem. Would it ever? If you have a ship that's this far away, traveling at this speed,
it'll reach us.
Eventually,
it'll reach us in another 15.5 billion years.
Because we're not moving faster than the speed of light away from it. It's going to make up that ground.
No.
Okay.
But the universe could potentially be expanding faster than the speed of light.
Damn.
Yeah.
That makes Usain Bolt so much faster.
Right.
All right, what's the other one? What's the other one? After this, I want to move into another topic that we'll kind of wrap things up with. That
cool.
We'll dive into. But so what's the other thing that keeps you up at night around astrophysics?
So, we are beings of 4 dimensions, right? There's up, down, left, right, forward, back, and time is a dimension.
Mm-hmm.
We can move freely about 3 of these dimensions. So, operating on the precept that a n-dimensional being can move freely in n-1 dimensions.
Yes.
So if you're in 5 dimensions, you can move freely about 4, right?
Yes.
If there's a fifth five-dimensional being,
right?
We don't know what we can't even contemplate a 5th dimension. Just like a stick figure couldn't contemplate
3 dimension. Right? Yeah.
Exactly. So there's a 5th dimensional being out there, and assume that they can move freely about our 4 dimensions,
including time.
Right? Including time.
Mm-hmm.
For time for them it could be
let's go. Let me go grab the mail real quick. Yeah. I'm just gonna go back in time.
Yeah. And I exactly like that. And so this is all stemmed from the movie Interstellar, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And Anne Hathaway says something about this. It could be somewhere that they could go. The future could be a valley that they could go to.
Right.
There are implications to that, because if that's true, then the future is somewhere they can go. Right?
Yes.
Well, there's one of 2 ways this goes. The future is somewhere where they can go. which means that it's there already.
Right. It exists. It exists.
Yeah, it is. That is what's going to happen. You are going to be there no matter what choices you make now.
Now, hold on. Before we advance, because I know you have more to add to this.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then the assumption is that they can influence this, right? Like when you move forward, you're influencing the air, you're influencing the molecules, right? So you're influencing that somehow. If this is the case, could it be something of the sort that's like, yeah, they can move that direction in that dimension, but like us, let's say, vertically, we can jump a certain amount, but we can't jump 10 feet high because of gravity, that gravitational force. Is there potentially a force that, yes, they can go in the past super far back, like we can lay down to the ground, whatever, and go with that, but they can only go a certain amount forward in that dimension of time.
Yeah, but the problem with that ideology is that when you say we can only jump so high, physically, yes, as a person, but we can create things that can go anywhere.
For sure.
The Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 are past the heliosphere. They're leaving the solar system right now,
Correct.
So, and we could have put someone on there if we had the engineering skills for it. The physics we understand. It's the engineering that we have trouble with. And rightly so. It's a tough problem. But so there's that. It's not that we can jump only so high. Like we can go as far up as we want.
Because we can propel ourselves with other... Yes.
Even so, we can dig down as far as we want. It's just, it's engineering that's stopping. It's not physics, right? And so if they can go to the future, it's there.
Yeah.
Now, along with yours, if they can't go to the future, that would be the equivalent of someone saying, hey, man, yeah, you can go east, but only to Cincinnati. You got to wait till we build more east.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's it. That's all you get.
And so those are the two ways that can go, unless this fifth dimension is like depth for a two-dimensional character, and it's maybe time is the one constant dimension that no being, regardless of your dimensionality, can traverse. I don't know.
Yeah.
This keeps me up probably a couple. I am in no way qualified to answer this question.
Yes.
And it keeps me awake in bed.
Yes. There is some fascinating possibilities thinking of this. Do you know of other, this sounds very, very elementary of me, which is I'm totally fine with. Do you know of other dimensions from, like, there's time, there's, obviously like spatial, the three-dimensional space and everything like this. What other dimensions might there be?
I don't know.
Is that it?
I think there's I don't know. I don't know if they've been classified as theories yet, but like 11 dimensions, I think is
11. Is this like in the world of like string theory?
I think string theory accounts for numerously more dimensions than we have, but I don't know. I'm not fully read up on that, but I know that there's areas of physics that do operate, even math. You can get into geometry, and they'll do geometry in higher dimensions, and what they'll do is essentially just assume that one of the dimensions is a line as opposed to a space, and that's how they calculate it and stuff like that. But like computers can our computers can operate in any number of dimensions we want. They just can't display it for us because we can only fathom 3 dimensions, right? But a computer can sit here and it can calculate and cross-reference, 12 different columns of data. Those are all different dimensions, right? Yeah. Computers can do it. Yeah. We can't.
Damn. Is Elon Musk a computer?
No.
Okay. No, on this, I watched this. This joint is on Netflix. I think I was just looking it up.
Paw Patrol movie?
No, dude. You're getting on one of the kids' Netflix or something. What's going on here? No, it's this documentary on contacting alien life, and it's this features this dude Stephen Greer. I think Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind.
Okay.
So essentially, let me see what this says. Featuring Stephen Greer, apostle of the alien visitation disclosure movement, has tantalizing sightings, but reveals that ET obsession is now the mothership. Anyway, we watched this the other night, Jeanette and I, and I was fascinated by it. So Stephen Greer, he's a doctor, like MD. Not what you would necessarily classify as like, oh, this guy's just a nut job type of dude.
Yeah.
But the whole thesis of this essentially is that we can actually contact alien life forms and we can summon them to us where we have interactions, right? And he like kind of lays out the different levels. And this documentary has some wildly believable information and insight from people who was like, oh, this person used to work on this project. And, that was like top secret, highly classified, all this stuff. Yeah. Basically what it is meditation. If you can meditate in a certain way, and you have to have the heart of like a welcoming, this is the part where it's kind of like, this is a little bit like hippie style, which, come on, our mother, like we vibe with the hippies, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was basically like, you can actually summon them. So he'll have like retreat sort of things where he'll get people, they'll come together like 10, 15 people, they'll go take lawn chairs out, set up somewhere, and they just meditate together. They get into this meditative state, and then they summon and they have sightings like video and all this stuff. They show the video in this documentary. Anyway, it was essentially not just meditation in a strong way, but it was also, you had to have a pure heart. And if you didn't have the pure heart of like, oh yeah, I really want to, then they wouldn't show up. And so they kind of break this down. It was pretty interesting documentary. Whether it's real or not, I don't know. There's stuff in there that's believable, and I think he has an app out there that's like, you can get with the community of people around the world that are doing this stuff. What this brought up, what you were just describing, and multidimensional and everything like this brought up, is like, what if that's a dimension that they can move is actually in the dimension, like, how people say, oh, well, imagine if you saw people like Shala How, if you saw people based on their heart.
Yeah.
Right. Would that be classified as a dimension that they can move? Or is that more of just a sense? Like you could see things, you could feel things, you could smell things.
Yeah.
They're like, they get a little spidey tingle, my spidey senses are tingling because this person has a pure intention of meeting and greeting and being kind and welcoming.
That I think is highly unlikely based on the fact that it's a pure heart is subjective. You know what I mean? It's something we can't quantify, because that would imply that right or wrong is
universal.
It's a universal thing. And I mean, even within Western civilization, right or wrong is subjective. And it's even more so when you go out of Western civilization into the rest of the world.
Yeah.
You look at indigenous tribes in Amazon with some of the stuff that they think is acceptable. We're like, holy shit, that's super weird, dude.
Hey, Survive
and they think the same about us.
Dude, we've been watching on Nat Geo. I think Disney Plus, you could access it, but Survive the Tribe and what is it? Primal Survival. This dude, what's his name? Hayden Altel, I think, something like this. It's fascinating, and it's prime examples of exactly what you're talking about. It's, a lot of natives, different lands, different parts of the world, and they're just running around naked, shooting blow darts into monkeys, and eating monkeys, like where he's a nature lover so much, but he's also participating and he understands this circle of life for them. But it's like, man, you don't see people here going around just murking monkeys for food. I mean, granted, they're not a native animal to this part of the world, but
except Harambe.
Oh, dude, rest in peace.
That's when the world started going to shit, when they killed this fucking girl.
That's true. That is true.
No,
that was a bad omen.
I think that the lack of scientific like empirical data for that. Like it's something that you can calculate and get, reproducible results is the problem there. Like
I had this thought yesterday as I was thinking, like, what do we, what should we really dive into for the podcast? And I was thinking that one of the distinct differences between you and I is your fascination with things that are hard, black and white answers, right? So math, science, something specifically measurable and repeatable. So it's something that's like, I know that I could, here's the equation, you put these variables in, this is what you get every time.
Yeah.
Whereas my fascination in my pursuit of, of social sciences, personal development, things like this is and even golf, for example, right? It's like, I love these things because there's no black or white answer. Is somebody entering your hotel room?
Hopefully not. If I get killed, you'll have evidence.
Yeah, we're recording this for sure.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about it.
I wouldn't say that I'm also very fascinated with interhuman relations. Like, I got a degree in psychology. I'm very fascinated with the human brain and how it works. Mm-hmm. I just think when it comes to interpersonal relationships, I have a very different look than most people.
Yeah.
Because I know that in every single, because that's most of the time what you end up doing is you look at conflict, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's internal or external. Mm-hmm. I do tend to look at things in a very matter-of-fact way. And the fact of the matter most of the time is that there is no right answer for those.
Yeah.
And that's not what people want to hear. People want to hear, hey, what's wrong with this? And they're like, well, he's wrong. You're right.
Yeah.
That's what they want to hear. And I'm just like, no, you guys are like, and so.
Yeah.
The math and science does interest me more because I can get to the black and white, and that's acceptable. Right. I don't have to justify it.
Right. Yeah. And that's a good point. And you do have a very different perspective. To put it in the words of our nephew.
Yeah.
Uncle Ryan hates everybody.
No, he said, he was giving a presentation about his family, and he said, I don't think my Uncle Ryan cares how anybody feels.
He presented this to his high school class.
Yeah.
Which,
and that's not the case. Like, it's not that I don't care how you feel, but that's not my biggest concern. My biggest concern is ensuring that the correct information is there.
Right. Which I admire about you.
Yeah, feelings that's up to you. That's not I'm not in charge of your feelings.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Now, I will try, if there's something that I know is going to hurt somebody's feelings, I will try and do it in a gentle way that's more acceptable. I'm not going to go out there and blatantly hurt people's feelings, but if you ask me a question, you better want the answer.
The honest, that's
that's
when I learned this a few years ago, because that's honesty and truth is something that I highly value as well. It's like one of my core values as well. Yeah. And years ago, from being very, very blunt about things, I realized I should start asking people, because I'm smart enough now to pick up on, are they fishing for a feel-good answer or do they want the truth, right? So now when it's something that I'm like, ooh, they might not like this answer, before I answer, I ask, do you want the truth or are you looking for something specific?
You want validation.
Yeah, because you might not like the truth, and that's a sensitive thing. But that's a good point. And you're right. It's not something everybody can vibe with, but that is something, and we've talked about this before, that I definitely value and appreciate in your way of life, your choice to live that way. Because you could, obviously you could choose to live otherwise, but and most people don't necessarily value that up front. Yeah. But looking back, I don't know anybody that's been like, man, I can't believe that person told me the truth. Damn.
Yeah. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, I don't know anybody like that. But all right, so you know what? Screw it. We're going a little over. I like to try to keep these under an hour, but
how long have we been going?
Right now, since we started about an hour, we're at about an hour, but screw it. We're going to keep going because I really wanted to dive in. You are the perfect person to dive into familial nurturing. And you and I both being in our 30s now, we're brothers raised by the same parents, birthed by the same parents, experienced the same parents growing up, and we're now into our adult lives and doing whatever we're doing. And we get to do a lot of analytical breakdowns of our upbringing.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, you know,
we like to call them brothers' weekends.
Yes, we do. Yeah. So this is one of the things that again, to the question that we talked about earlier, where people are like, oh, do you have siblings? Yes, I do. Are you guys close? And that for a long time, a good number of years, it confused me as to why that would be a question. The second question, are you close? Because you, me, and Billy, the three of us have always been close. We've fought physically, we fought verbally, we fought emotionally. That one time I very insensitively, that though comically in my mind, I etched in your leather chair.
Yeah, your big penis.
A big your favorite lounger chair with a lot of memories attached to it. That was so insensitive of me. It was hilarious in my mind, but looking back, I'm like, damn, dude, that was not cool.
Yeah.
We've had all sorts of experiences together, and not everybody has a close relationship. And I think that either not a close relationship or the ability to see things in a way that you, I think, have a wonderful ability to see things and offer a subjective opinion as well as the most objective one could be about certain things. So this is why I think there's value in how we can analyze, like, well, how we were raised was like this and what it means, especially with your psychology background and everything like that. So I wanted to chat about, obviously, the nature versus nurture. This is specifically 100% all on nurture.
Okay.
The way you are brought up. How do you navigate, and how have you navigated looking back at your childhood and your upbringing and realizing a lot of things where you're just like, damn, I wish they did this differently. I wish my parents wouldn't have done this, or they would have done that. How do you navigate this in a healthy way?
You know, that changed about 6.5 years ago when I had Isaac. Well, when Kristen had Isaac. I didn't have Isaac. Kristen did all the work.
Your son.
Yeah. But it changed all. Before that, I would get caught up in, God, you know, I wish they would have done this different. I wish they would have done that different. And after having Isaac and being a parent, and looking back at all this stuff again, like you say, as objectively as possible. I mean, it's impossible for a person to look at their own stuff objectively.
Correct.
Right? It's always going to be seen through my eyes.
Right.
But after, you know, learning and learning as I grow as a parent, I look back and I realize that mom and dad were doing the absolute best that they could.
Yeah.
And the things that I have beef with and wish that they would have done different, they might feel the same way.
Yeah.
They very well could. You know what I mean?
But that's actually been voiced. I know for a fact we've heard it from both mom and dad. Like, damn, you know.
Yeah.
One of the big things.
Go ahead. That's just part of parenthood. You know, like I tell Isaac sometimes, when I'm wrong, I will go to Isaac and be like, "Look, dude, I'm sorry, I was wrong." And like one time, we tell him to stomp his feet when he was angry. We told him that for a long time because he would have issues controlling his anger. We're like, stomp your feet. You know, that's a good way to do it.
Right.
And one day he got in trouble and he stomped his feet and I popped his butt for it.
Ooh.
And that's the thing. And Kristen, reminded me because, you know, I expect her to correct me when I'm wrong. She's like, hey, we tell him to stomp his feet. So I went inside and I told him, I was like, look, dude, I'm sorry. Like, I was upset too. I was angry at the way you behaved, but I didn't control my anger either.
Yeah.
And we tell you to stomp your feet and I spanked you and you shouldn't have. And so I've told him before, I'm like, dude, I'm learning too. Like, this is my first time being a dad.
So what happened after that?
Yeah.
After that apology.
So since I popped his butt for that, I let him pop my butt. Because I was wrong.
What a great.
I want to set an example that when you're wrong, you say you're wrong and you try and rectify it, you know?
Right.
So just, you know, the way I've dealt with that has gotten, it's been a lot easier after having kids.
Yeah.
Just because I'm making mistakes. I'm sure he's going to look back and find lots of things that he didn't like, that I did, you know, but I know I'm trying my damnedest to be a good dad. And so I think having kids kind of put that into perspective, and it helped me see things from mom and dad's standpoint. I mean, not to mention that they didn't really have a good foundation of what good parenting is.
What do you mean?
To start with. Yeah, right.
What do you mean?
So when you look at it through that lens, they did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They did an absolutely amazing job raising us.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have my gripes and all that, but you know, I'm a pilot. You know, we say all the time, pilots aren't happy unless they're complaining. That's just how it goes, right?
Oh, big fact.
Yeah.
So this raises a couple questions.
Yeah.
Think back to pre-Isaac.
Yeah.
Were you viewing the shortcomings in your mind, the things that you wish were done differently from them parenting us? Before you had Isaac, were you viewing these in a way that you thought they could have done better at that time and they just chose not to? That's to say that they were equipped to perform a better job as a parent in those times that they did the things you wish they didn't, and they just chose a different route. Is that how you were viewing them? And then that changed as you became a dad, because you're like, damn, like I'm trying my best and I still can't get it right sometimes, you know? So you have to go in and apologize because you do mess up, and you know all these things.
No, I don't think it was necessarily like, oh, they could have done this instead.
Yeah.
It was never that I wish they would have taken this other option.
Yeah.
It was always, I wish they wouldn't have done this.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's much like people that bring up a problem, but they don't have a solution for it.
I hate that.
Right?
I hate that shit.
You shouldn't. Because not everybody that is equipped to identify a problem is equipped to solve the problem.
Yes.
You have to know there is a problem before you can solve it. And you wanting to be a businessman and whatnot, that should be good for you. Because if someone brings up a problem, you don't necessarily want them to fix it because they're going to fix it the way they want to fix it.
Yeah.
You want to find an expert to fix that problem, right?
Yes.
So people bringing up problems without a solution, and you're not the only person that hates it. There's so many people that are like, well, if you don't have a solution, don't say anything. That's stupid.
I agree with that. And that's not where I was going with it. To clarify, the thing that I hate about it, it's not that they don't have the solution or a solution. The thing that I really, it just irks me is when you have a complaint and you don't have an idea of doing it differently. Now, let's say that different thing, that idea, I come to you with a complaint and I say, Ryan, my house, it frustrates me, dude, because there's dirt all over the floor and it just pisses me off. You know, it's like dirt from outside. There's mud and everything like that.
Yeah. And
you go, cool, like, what do you suggest? And I say, I don't know. And you go, well, like, what's an idea that's different from how things are right now? And I go, maybe there should be a bucket that is like a tray filled with mud on the inside of my place so that when you come in, you just step in mud. And now the whole place is covered with even more mud. And it's like, that's something different than what's going on now. That's an idea that's very clearly worse in the outcome, but it's an idea of something different, right? So what pisses me off is when people have complaints, and it's like, okay, well, do you have any ideas to do it differently? And they're like, no. It's like, you can think of something different than how it is right now. Remove one variable, add another variable, whatever it is. That's what pisses me off. It's not knowing the right answer. It's not having the solution. It's not any of that. It's just, hey, if you have a complaint, participate in the exploration of finding a solution. That's the thing. That's what pisses me off, is when people just complain, and there's no solution. I saw this all over the place in the post Ahmaud Arbery, murder and George Floyd murder and all the protests and BLM movement and all this stuff. Everybody, it was like everybody had so much ferocity and so much anger and so much, complaining. but nobody had any ideas like, oh, let's try this. Let's do this differently. Let's do this. And then when there was an idea, it was just like, oh yeah, that's spot on. Let's do this. Let's do that. It's like, well, maybe, yeah, but like, maybe not also, right? But at least somebody's coming with the anger and saying, let's do it differently. Because how it's going right now, we're not satisfied with, instead of just flat out complaining. That's the difference.
But I think what that ends up doing is, for you, it's just making you more stressed.
For sure. 100%.
You're
100 because now I'm not thinking of solution. I'm frustrated with this individual.
Not even that, but do you give a shit where the solution came from?
Mm-mm.
No. So why would you care? Are you mad at people if you get a table around like, hey, everybody, let's think up a solution to this? This person points it out. They're at the table with you. Yeah. Are you mad at anyone else at that table for not coming up with a solution?
No, they didn't bring the complaint.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're past that.
Yeah.
You're at a point where you have a problem.
Yes. Now. And now we have to.
It doesn't. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Now we have to have a solution.
It shouldn't bother you. I'm not going to say it shouldn't because you're you, but it wouldn't bother me. I don't care which one of these 15 people comes up with the answer. I don't care if no one comes up.
But let's say this complaint is a repetitive complaint. I guess you're actually helping me unpack this more and more the deeper we dig, which is really good, right? Welcome to therapy.
Yeah.
And it's more so.
Welcome to family therapy. Two very unqualified,
highly unqualified siblings. It's more so repetitive complaints. It's not hey, this is a new problem I've observed. It's not that. It's like, this is, I should really stop doing this. Oh, okay. A month later, man, I should really stop doing this. I should. Okay, well, do something about it. And or maybe just like, what ideas do you have? If you keep complaining about the same thing, like at least by now you should. So that's what I think it is. It's not a one time like, hey, because that is very, very.
I'm guilty of that. Because
most people are. I am too, and I can tell you one right now.
I'll tell you this. Tomorrow is the day that I'm going to start working out again.
Yeah.
And son of a bitch, every morning I wake up, it's today.
Oh shit! Yeah.
It's never tomorrow.
It's not tomorrow.
So
it is today. Hey, no, straight up, my focus that I've been complaining about is this is a cue of why it's so frustrating to me, is because I do it. I've been so frustrated with my lack of discipline, and last night I was like, all right, this is it. I'm waking up at 6:45 a.m. and I'm going to hit my workout and all this stuff, right?
You have a newborn. That's a stupid goal.
I've got a newborn, and despite him sleeping wonderfully last night, I did not sleep well at all. I woke up randomly. I had 2 hours from 1 a.m. to 3. I could not get back to sleep. I was tossing and turning, just wide awake. And then I got to sleep at like 3:15-ish, or somewhere around there. Woke up again 4:30 for like a good hour. So I was like, damn, I'm short on sleep. And sleep's super key for your immune system and all these things, whatever. The long story short, I had a million excuses, but I got up and went and worked out at 9. Supposed to get up 6:45. I got up and got after it at 9 a.m. And it's like, dude, that is not discipline. And this is, keep in mind, this is like, we're about a week and a half in of me going, oh, I'm getting up at 6:45. And not once have I done it. Not once.
Yeah.
So this is, it's like, but I'm at least chipping away. The good thing is, chipping away and trying, okay, try this, set this up, set all your gear up, set this, and it is getting
What's so special
better.
about 6:45?
It's act of discipline. I'm getting to sleep early enough for sure. It's just that.
No, but I'm just saying, like, why not? Like, why? If you have this goal that you keep setting and you keep failing it, why not change your goal to get the same outcome?
Yeah.
Why not set your goal to work out at 9 every morning?
Oh, I see what you're saying. It was because this is before a newborn is up and active and everything, so I can actually get the workout and get like business stuff done without neglecting my family. Like right now they're in the other room and luckily Jeanette is, more than happy and loves our little dude. And she's like, of course I'll kick it with him and everything while we're podcasting and all this stuff. But I still, as you are, very similar. You want to be there. You want to be present. So for me, it's it means getting up early or staying up later. And I know that pillow talk time, the wind down time together. That's some of our, and especially Jeanette's favorite time. That's where we laugh a ton. We get to recap the day. We decompress a lot. That is more meaningful if I have to take one of those bookends away. The morning one where we're just kind of laying in bed and the slow wake up, take that one away because it's not as meaningful. It's not as important. It's not as, impactful. So that's why.
The evening wind down, like after the kids go to sleep, that's Chris and I. That's our time.
Yeah.
That's where we watch our shows. That's where we sit and chat, have a drink.
Yeah.
More nights than not, I'll have a little bit of Costco popcorn.
Oh, do you season that joint? Throw a little mesquite, did you bring it?
I take it on the road with me, dude.
I love it. We're popcorn fanatics.
Fact for those of you out there that travel, if you take the little ice bucket that's in hotel rooms, put that little plastic bag in there, it's almost a perfect amount for one bag of popcorn.
But you want to make sure that you let the popcorn cool down for a little bit after it's cooked before you put it in. Bro, it's going to melt that bag. The kernels melt that bag. I know you've had
the kernels melt the bag, but you don't want to eat the kernels anyways.
Okay.
It's like a filter.
First of all, do not eat it wrapped in plastic. Okay. Let me ask you this. Because that's a good breakdown on looking back at family and everything like that and parenting and,
Yeah.
Damn, I wish my parents did this differently and so forth.
Yeah.
So here you are. Your son is now 6 and some change.
Mm-hmm.
You've been at this for a while. What do you see subjectively that you're doing that you go, ooh, he might hate this when he's an adult?
I don't know. Every once in a while, I'll do something where I'm like, damn, that's going to come up in therapy. Obviously, we're always joking, but I don't like. A hard one for me is the parent-teacher relationship, right? Like he is much like me. He wants to be a class clown, wants to be a funny kid at school. And mom and dad, when we were growing up, were always on the side of the teacher. That was their thing. And I think that's what they told us.
Always? Like 100% of the time? Yes.
Yeah.
100% of the time. Hated that.
And the thing is honestly, looking back objectively, had something gone wrong in school.
Yeah.
With the teacher and the teacher messed up, mom and dad would have called them out. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
But 100% of the problems I had in school were my fault. But that's something that, I didn't feel supported. I didn't. Right. And I think it was just more about how I don't think it was the way they treated it, is the way they presented it more than anything. And I think they were doing the right thing because you want your kid to behave in school.
Yeah.
And so we deal with the same with Isaac, and he wants to be the class clown like me. And I tell him, like, look, dude, I had a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And I, that's something I struggle with him is to let him know that I am on Isaac's side.
Yeah.
And I want you to pay attention because this is what's best for Isaac. It's not that I'm taking the teacher's side.
Yeah. But can't you just tell him?
So, yeah, because 6-year-olds are super rational.
So this is this is I think this is an important distinction, and it might be helpful for some people. I know it would be helpful for me to hear at some phase of my life where it's hard, especially when you bring in another being into your responsibility circle. But it's hard even on your own to feel confident in the decisions you're making when you actually have the foresight to see like, ooh, this is what this might lead to down the road, this might come up in therapy. Yeah. But like this scenario, right? What are the options here? Let's say it's 100% either to the teachers or to your children. And it's like, okay, well, it's a game of odds now. More likely, teachers don't feel like conjuring up some bullshit thing to call parents and say, hey, your kid, that's very unlikely. Teachers want to get out and go drink their night away and all that stuff, right?
It's a strong assumption, but I'll go with it.
Well, I'm your teachers specifically, yours.
My teachers,
the ones that had to deal with your ass all day. So it's like, okay, are the odds that my child is wrong more of the time and they're responsible for this phone call from the teacher or whatever? Or is it more likely the teacher is tripping? And this is, K through 12. that this is occurring. Not, I mean, sure, there's probably going to be a one-off, maybe a 2 teachers that really are just shitbags, because just like anywhere else, there's not everybody in the role or in that field is great. Yeah. So what do you do? Okay, well, we could err on the side and say, hey, teacher's always right. And then those couple times where my kid was actually right and the teacher's, wrong in this, man, that might come up in therapy later. That's going to be tough. Yeah. But what's the alternative, right? Yeah. That you bank with the kid being right. And now the kid's like, oh, I can get away with everything. I can do anything, and I can just lie to my parents and I'll do whatever I want. And then they're going to come to my rescue. So,
yeah. I will say this, though. One of my personal methodologies with dealing with young kids, because he's 6, I'm not dealing with teenagers or anything yet. But, just, 6 and below, I can speak on. And their idea of what actually happened is the truth to them. They are very self-centered. Yes. And no matter what actually happened, the way they felt, just like anytime there's a conflict, we have feelings. Yes. Right. And you can go back on it later and look and say, okay, I might have been a little overreacting. A lot of times they're overreacting, but to them, that's their truth. Right. So I try and judge him and his actions based on what his truth is. Because that's how I can hold him accountable. It's not going to do me any good to sit here and hold him accountable for something that he thinks did not happen. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Then we're into the it's like, Kristen's calling me.
No, you better not. Not in the middle of a podcast. Hey.
Oh, now you answer.
Me and Anthony are podcasting right now.
Oh, okay. Tell me that.
Well, I was going to text, but I was podcasting.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Hi, Kristen.
I'll call you.
Oh, she can't hear me because I'm near AirPods.
But yeah, so that's what I want is I want to hold him accountable to what his understanding of what happened is.
Right. Right. So this,
and then I will always explain, like, you may have felt like this happened, but this is what actually happened. Yeah. But even if you feel like this, you need to behave this way. You know what I mean? Like that. But that's a big thing that I do.
I think that's really good. There's a couple good nuggets here for parents that you've dropped in this session that's really good. And poor Isaac, man, wants to be a class clown. Got a dad who was a class clown, and Dude,
this is my fault. This is karma. Like the universe has a balance sheet. Yeah, I'm a firm believer in that, and. Like what was it? Oh, so Isaac and Emma have been fighting a lot lately, and maybe I don't know. Maybe it was Thanksgiving. I was talking to Dad, and I was just telling him, I was like, he's like, how the kids doing? I was like, man, they're fighting a lot, and I was like, and I need to apologize for how much we fought, because like, dude, it's the worst thing in the world when you see both your kids fight. You know what I mean?
I believe it.
Yeah, I won't say it's the worst thing in the world, and I mean, I would take their fighting over another Holocaust, but.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's on behalf of like the entire population of the world. That's a good thing.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So it's not the worst thing in the world,
but it's really bad feeling.
It's terrible as a parent to see your kids just bicker and fight nonstop. It sucks.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up, but I want to recap a few things that I thought were really, really valuable here. One, apologize to your children.
Absolutely.
Admit when you are wrong. And especially if you have a partner, this is something I think that a lot of couples, a lot of relationships have a hard time with because of ego, right? We all have it. Being able to correct each other. I literally yesterday with the newborn, although, I guess he's not a newborn. He's over 2 months now. But
he's still a newborn.
Yeah, still a newborn. So I'm caring for him in this moment, giving Jeanette a break. And I was just, my patience, because I was in the middle of doing other stuff, taking care of all this, whatever. And then he so inconveniently started crying. No, it was, yesterday he had a rough day, and it's literally in over 2 months. There's only been 2 days we've had where we could not figure out how to soothe or anything. It was just a random thing. And it happens, right? It's a baby. So my patience was very short. Like, it was like I was trying to, I tried everything, ran through the whole gamut, my whole algorithm of here's how to soothe him. It didn't work. And I'm just like, I was like, you know, kind of had like one of those moments. And then Jeanette like saw it, and we're pretty good at this where it's like, oh, okay, you need a break. Like, let me take him, that sort of thing. And then like, boom, came, finished my stuff. And I was like, damn, that was so short on patience of me. That is not at all the parent I want to be. So I went in the other room, and I mean, we had a heart to heart. Not really, because he doesn't really. It was like heart to But I literally went down and I apologized. Like, hey, dude, I'm so sorry. And he doesn't speak yet. 2 months old. So I was like, look, man, I'm so sorry. That was poor patience on my part, and you did not deserve the huffing and puffing that I gave you. You know, I gave him a little apology and a little kiss. Yeah. That's a very important thing. And I'm trying to establish that now as I see, and, you know, I think of the stories that you shared and stuff, because to be completely honest, that's not something we got. Myself, Billy, right? We didn't get those apologies. It was just like, that's, you know, did the damn thing, and that was it. And just scramble it. It just scramble it, you know, to raise us and shit. And so that's a key thing. Apologize to your children. If you have kids, or if you're watching children, anything, apologize. That's a good trait to give people, is to say, hey, I was wrong about this. And then you move forward and, you know, you clear that up.
Yeah. And that's to add to that is if you don't want to raise someone that thinks that someone else is never wrong, regardless of who it is. You don't want them to think their uncle's never wrong. You don't want them to think their dad's never wrong, because one day what's going to happen is they're going to realize that person's wrong. Yeah. And it's going to be rough. Yes. You know what I mean? It's important for them, and not just rough with their relationship, rough on them, because now they're going to realize that nobody's perfect. Like it's going to be hard for, you know, for them to sit and conceptualize that that's not something I can aspire to anymore. Right. It's better to have them growing up realizing that the people they look up to and idolize are wrong sometimes.
Yes. You know what I mean?
I
love that.
Yeah.
That's I think that's a major key as well. And I recall a lot of times where it's like, you know, there were a mom being a very passionate woman that she is. You know, she sees a celebrity, or she sees somebody that did something, you know, some wrongdoing in their life, whatever it is, and she just like, boom, they're dead to me type of thing, you know? And it's like, you know, for it was like, Mom, that I get that they were very, very clearly wrong here, but that doesn't mean, you know, that he's or she's not still amazing at that thing that they do. And you could still admire that ability of the thing they do, and also denounce whatever poor behavior they had. So I think that's a very helpful thing.
It's different for us though, because our parents were never wrong. So
big fact. Ever.
This is for everybody else in the world.
Yeah.
Not us.
Yes. Okay, so that's a good one. So apologize to your children, admit when you're wrong, give them love and help them, because you're also helping them navigate the world and helping them not become a little shit.
No. The kids are going to be little shits. You're helping them be acceptable little shits.
Good distinction. Another beautiful takeaway. I think that giving grace to your upbringing and your parents and their abilities, and really trying to put yourself in their shoes, whether you have kids or not. I think this is something most people are pretty damn smart, you know, and if they can put themselves in that position of like, okay, I'm a parent. Here's what I've gone through in my life, and now I have to take care of a whole nother human while still trying to accomplish whatever I'm trying to get after. That would bring about a lot of grace to say, damn, you know, like they could have done a lot worse, you know, or they're just trying to cope. So there's some instances there for sure, which I think is
on the spectrum of, you know, perfect parent and worst parent in the world, way closer over here than they ever were over here. But you don't realize that until you look at it through their eyes.
Right. Which is super helpful. Talked a good bit about some stars and astrological bodies. 2 of 88 constellations.
Well, there's Ursa Major and Ursa Minor and
Cassiopeia
Scorpio's up there, and
And all right, yeah. So those are some good things.
Cassiopeia or Cassiopeia?
Cassiopeia.
No, you put the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Cassiopeia.
Cassiopeia.
So those are some good things. Chat about some good idolized persons. Neil deGrasse Tyson, who I love him as well. You've been diving into his Star Talk Radio as well. That's a good podcast. Good listen. Yeah. Rounding this out, bro. What is listen, people, if you guys could do this, it would make the world a better place for everybody. What is a little something that you could toss out that everybody could either take or just give us a nice little pilot story that everybody could leave their day laughing?
I don't know about pilot stories, but I tell people all the time, I'm like, look, everybody's dealing with their own shit. Just try not to be a dick. Like, yeah, because everybody is. Like, it dead serious. Like, you run into someone on your worst day, and that dude is the worst guy ever, right? Yeah. He crossed you, and you'll forever tell that story. But you never think about when you're that guy in someone else's story. Yeah,
you are the villain in someone's story. There was a podcast. I did an episode about this. You are the villain in somebody's story, and that's a prime example, bro.
And that's okay. Like, it's okay. You don't. I don't need everybody to like me. I don't want everybody to like me. Yeah. That's not the way the world works. And just if you can just try and be a good person, just don't be a dick to people.
Yeah.
And if someone crosses you, maybe they're having a bad day.
Yeah.
Right.
And maybe this is where you put the same advice with dealing with raising your children, and you just apologize. Hey, dude, I'm having a shitty day. I've had that happen where somebody was treating me like, I was like, this mother. And then they came back and they were like, I'm so sorry. Listen, I'm just having a rough day. I had this happen, working for an airline. I've had many an experience this way. And people are, for the most part, people are very good people. And a lot of times they can recognize that. If you do recognize it, it could salvage and even make you even closer to that individual, because people get bad days.
Yeah. Speaking of airline, I'm going to tell a story about my buddy. This isn't me, but my buddy.
A guy I know.
He flies for the same airline.
Yeah.
There's a maintenance problem. They have to deplane. They've already boarded and they have to deplane. So he goes and he grabs the phone and he's talking to everybody and he's like, hey, super sorry. There's a maintenance problem. We want to make sure everything's as safe as possible before we go airborne. So we're going to have to ask everybody to get off the plane and we'll let maintenance take a look at it and all that. So as they're leaving, he's like, I'm so sorry. Same sorry to everybody. And this lady stops and just digs into him. This is bullshit. Da, 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 da. He's like, ma'am, I'm super sorry. She's like, you're not sorry. You guys like this stuff. Da, 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 da. And he's like, ma'am, I'm going to tell you the same thing my marriage counselor told my ex-wife. You can't tell me how I feel. So now you need to leave the plane so we can get it fixed. So there's your funny story for the day.
That is gold. That is. I'm going to tell you the same thing my marriage counselor told my ex-wife. You can't tell me how I feel. That's good. All right, Ryan Thomas. Thank you, my brother, for joining the newly branded Anthony Thomas podcast. Yes, indeed, dude. This was a good ass time, and
let's do it again, man.
I am happily down to do it again. All right.
Yeah, I'll have a lot of time in hotels. So.
Hotel life of a pilot.
What up? It's so glamorous. I get to sit around in my Nautica pajamas and my Star Wars shirt and play Xbox all over the world. What's it like traveling the world? It's great, man. All the hotels really close to the airports are really dope. Some of them have breakfast.
The places you'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all so very much for tuning in. Thank you for joining on this chat with my brother and I, Ryan. Special thank you for helping me bring back the podcast, bring it back to life after the hiatus. And I'm always looking to improve, to grow. So that takes feedback from you. If you're listening to this, whatever you feel, whatever you like, whatever you dislike, things you hope to hear, let me know. You can find me on my website at anthonyjthomas.com or message me on Instagram, AnthonyThomas33. I've got some wonderful episodes coming up. I hope you like this one. That's it for now. Much love to you. Peace.